Can I tell you how much I loved HYPERDRIVE?
Did you? I did too.
I loved HYPERDRIVE. I thought it was a great car show that was devoid of fake bullshit. You had some great drivers. They were good, fun personalities.
Stunts
there wasn't
were crazy.
a ton of acting or stupidness. I thought it was a great show. And I thought that you really carried the hosting load there. It was like Rutledge's racing school every episode with you explaining to those other guys how cars work.
Dude, when the anti-lag on Fielding Shredder's 2JZ powered S14 went off and Mike and Michael, they thought we were being shot at. It brought me so much joy. Because, Bisping's like, what is that noise? Is that a good thing? And oh, yes. It's a great thing. It was, what I loved about HYPERDRIVE is Aaron, who's an incredible producer, I had a phone call with him 2 years before it. I was on the Hot Rod Power Tour, and I had stopped in Nashville, Tennessee, because I just remember everything about it. And they described the show to me, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard of. But no one's going to give you enough money to do this right. But if they do, please call me. I would love to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's Hot Wheels for adults. And so 2 years later, they called, and Netflix gave them the money for it. And even being there in person, I kept thinking, this is the craziest crap I've ever seen. Because imagine to be one of those 28 people from all over the world. You put your car in a shipping container, and like the couple from Germany didn't see it for like 2.5 months. They didn't see their cars until they showed up to beautiful Rochester, New York.
to a factory.
Old factory. Yeah, and keep in mind, none of them had any idea. Brittany Williams, her and her husband Kevin do some really cool stuff, but like no one knew truly what they were signing on for. And I thought that was the fascinating thing to see it, because I've become friends with a lot of these people, whether it's Aaron and his ridiculous RX-7 that was the only rotary there, Brent Percival, the dentist from Kentucky. I mean, it was the greatest assembly of people. And to your point, there wasn't fake stage drama. There wasn't all of these things that we all hate so much about other shows. The bummer was the cost was insane. Insurance alone, I felt
God. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I've met a few drivers from the show. We met Axel Francois, who was awesome.
What a great guy.
Fielding Shredder came on the show. He drove his Nissan to the studio, and he was great fun. I thought there was such a great presence with all those folks on the show, and they managed to show the drama of motorsport. Deadline or fake anything. ACP did such a good job, and those really guys did. with the course. And I thought it was really interesting how, if you don't know anything about TV and how reality shows work, reality shows they're not fake, right? But game shows, but they need an equalizer that really levels out. In this case, literally levels out the ability and equalizes the cars. And they built this crazy bridge thing called the leveler, which, impossible to practice, impossible to set your car up for. Probably the hardest fucking thing anyone's had to do in a car in a long time, or trickiest.
Had to be ever. And the biggest bummer, dude, is that I don't think we're ever going to get to see it again. It may happen.
You don't think
pandemic, so? I think it costs so much money, and I definitely think you could do it in a smaller scale, but it was, they shot it in a place that didn't have any tax incentives. They could have saved 30% probably of the budget if they shot it here in Georgia. But I think what was so cool and what translates around the world is these people in their own cars on a course they've never seen before. And like just the moment when they think, oh, I kind of got the feel of the leveler, they just moved the ballast point. And it wrecked everybody.
Yeah.
When Atsushi Taniguchi didn't let the basically the part of the bridge that has to drop back down, like the safety latch, he didn't let it go all the way, and that's why it ramped that Toyota up there. Dude, that was the most epic thing to watch in person, because you're also fearing for his life. Like, is he just going to go off the side and pancake that thing? You have no idea. But to watch, and Fielding is a buddy that I've become good friends with, and somebody that I hope has a career in the automotive world for the next 20 years because he's a great driver. He's wonderfully well spoken. He's a kind person. Watching him go head to head against Jordan in that Lamborghini was the gnarliest thing because Fielding was in third gear flat when he went through a shipping container, and the car basically just
I remember that. He jumped all the way through a shipping container with like 2 inches clearance on either side. It was gangster. Yeah, I remember that.
It's the gnarliest thing I've seen anybody do in a car in years and years. And it was
in their
just
own
because
car.
He didn't want to lose. In his own car.
Yeah. I'll do that in someone else. I'll do that in a press car. No problem.
Right.
Yeah, give me the keys.
I tried to get ACP and then the producers to let me take ACP's car out because I wanted to at least try. I wanted to know what the leveler feels like on there because how can I explain to other people what it's like if I haven't done it? And they were like, no, insurance is so much. You can't even sit in that car.
Dude, they didn't let you have a go?
No, which is why I started to build. I've started to build like a car in case the show comes back at my friend's shop called Koru Works in Atlanta. I'm building a 1JZ twin turbo powered 94 Toyota pickup. So hopefully we'll get a chance to. It's got an S14 rear end, so we did a rear subframe.
Oh my God!
You know, like as you've driven some insane stuff with a live axle. It's not.
No, you don't. It's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not at all. But
dude, I can't believe that they didn't let you have a go. The whole course or just the leveler?
Anything because it wasn't in the cards.
That's infuriating. That's so.
You're telling me
so mad.
I was on Craigslist trying to find a flat box car to just take it out there because I think that's what. If people don't know, what was so cool is that they were trying to combine autocross, drag racing, a little bit of stunts. It was trying to be every side of automotive thrown together, but mixing it up in a way that people didn't really know what was coming. And that's, I think, what was so impressive. And I love the people, like, as you know, we got haters for anything, but people were like, oh, stupid, that guy with the Corvette, he just ran the pole. That guy with the Corvette, that guy, Mike Fettiford, it was the winningest SCCA driver in the country. He, for the record, was way faster between the events, like to get from one thing to another.
The transits.
He smoked everybody. Was insane, but he spent his entire life trying to not get the car out of control. And for half of these things, that's what you had to do.
The drifters really have the advantage with this kind of stuff. It was fantastic. And I can't imagine, having done stuff on camera in a car at night before, there is absolutely nothing worse than trying to drive a car with those lights in your face. You cannot see. You can't see anything. It's terrible.
The only way to make it worse is to add water.
Oh my God.
Dude, Axel Francois, there's one point where it seems like his entire windshield is just souped over, and then because the engine was so hot, it was like a light switch. He just couldn't see anything.
Oh, it's steamed. Yeah, it's steamed up. Steaming up.
It was so bad, and I looked at those guys. I was like, I don't know how that car's still running. So at this point, like, I don't know, just keep going. I mean, have you ever seen someone limp a car? That S13 had a BMW, like a 325 swap with a homemade tractor turbo kit on. It was the most gangstered together car, and he ran it the whole time. And here's why he's so cool. We saw him one night. There was a party when we had like 2 days left, and everybody could go work on their cars or whatever. And I was like, hey man, did you work on those rings? Did you do anything? He's like, oh no, I decided to just sleep with my fiance all day instead.
I hung out with him at Willow Springs for a day, and that really adds up. She's a drifter too, and he had bought a base C6 Corvette, and he was just road tripping it from California to wherever, ending in Florida. He blew the engine a month after he left Willow. Somehow, like, he drove it at what's it called? The Valley Raceway, whatever, like a Ginger. Like, he slid it off the road. He's driving. He was drifting with no hands on the wheel, with his foot out the window, with me riding right seat, and then transitioning to the next corner, still with no hands on the wheel. And he was just like, oh, I just wanted to buy the most American car and do it. This is American dream, so I'm just traveling. And then he pops the motor, and then he replaces the motor and keeps going. Like, the
guy's a beast.
Because he did that same drift week that Fielding did. And I think what's so cool, if you look at the kind of ripple effects of that show, Stacey May, who I know y'all remember from the very first show and kind of leading into the second, who was the sweetest thing. Like, she'd never left the country. She's sponsored by Monster now. And just so you know, like,
oh, is that the one with the E30? Was that her?
Yes.
Yeah, she looked so promising, and then she blew her motor or something, right? Or broke her car.
Dad's there, yes. And like, here's why this show was so real and why I wish it would come back. I remember one night we would get like 20 minutes split up into 5 minutes or 2 minutes, depending, to see the driver and say, hey, how you feeling tonight? Are you ready? Anything you're worried about? And Stacy came in one night and she just looked totally shook up. And we said, like, hey, is everything, are you okay? Are you nervous? Like, how are you feeling? She said, I just, my mom and my sister didn't have anything to eat last night, and we're here staying in a hotel, and I got to go to New York City 2 days ago. It doesn't feel right. And you're like, man, her dad sold his tow truck so they could come there. Like, it just gave you such perspective for
wow. That's crazy.
The fact that, you know what I mean? Like, all over the world, people love cars and they want to follow their dreams and do the things they want to do. But seeing that kind of ripple effect and seeing her sponsored by Monster in South Africa, Axel has his drift school, but he's, I think, got a full-time sponsor for European Drift Series. Fielding is one of the most sponsorable dudes out there. Farouk Kouai is going to run FD this year, I think.
What about that Brazilian kid? Diego Rivera, was that his name? Is that his name?
Diego Iga is...
Diego Iga. Yeah, that's his name. Sorry. Who's Diego Rivera? Is that a baseball player? I think that's a baseball player.
It might be.
Sorry.
Watching Diego is so good. Like, I would sometimes send videos of him to Tanner and be like, this kid's 21. He's smoking your ass. Like, it was so wild to watch. He was like watching the drummer of a punk band that doesn't sweat.
Wow. Well put.
You couldn't wrap your mind. Like, the band Homegrown used to have a drummer who I would watch him, and it was almost emotionless. And he was one of the fastest drummers I'd ever seen. That's what watching Diego is like. He was just next level, But like, how cool that Netflix put that out there and did something that crazy. And I don't know if we'll get to do it again. I hope we will, man. It was bonkers.